Like the Hurricane Harvey handed some out and years of service. George, I think you got a plaque.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I
just
just think at a minimum, I think that would be something nice.
okay. I think we should. Let's see. Is there anything else? Well, there are probably going to be some changes. We don't know for sure who's going to be taking his place. We expect it might be Brett Shyrock, but I don't think that's official. Is it official now?
It is official.
Because the email I got said it was temporary.
It's official.
Okay.
It's temporary until Joey retires.
Until Joey retires. So Brett's an amateur radio operator, but we really don't know how supportive he is of ham radio. So we'll see.
We're going to be sitting down and having a meeting with Joey and Brett before the end of December. We spoke to Brett. I'm teaching with him, so he's very supportive of us. Certainly not to the extent Joey was, but then again, he's not as volatile as Joey.
Yeah.
So the Brett you see is the Brett you're going to get. As far as Joey, he's already put Tennessee plates on his pickup truck.
Short timer's attitude. He's gone.
Brett and the boys wanted to throw like a party for him as well and give him a plaque and all that. And he found out about it. And he found out about it. So just mail it to me. So, yeah.
I would imagine, Dave, that we don't have more than 2 weeks to do something.
You can always mail it to him.
We know it's going to be that.
Okay. Anyway, that's the big news I have. Anything else anyone wants to bring up about the D14?
I did find out that N5 TRS is changing its trustee. So Joey is not going to be the trustee anymore.
Who's it
It's going to
going?
be Brett Shyrock, and it's going to be changing its name from whatever it used to be, the Houston Amateur Radio Club.
Just
Like
Harris County Ox.
now it's going to be Harris County Ox Scum. It's going to be the
Yeah, makes sense.
cool.
Yeah, that's no problem. Okay, let's go on. Jeff is supposed to come into the Zoom meeting here in about a half an hour. He had another Zoom meeting he had to log into, so I moved him towards the end and put everyone else ahead of him. So let's hand it off to Lee for Wings Over Houston.
Okay.
You need the microphone.
No, I'll turn this one on.
Okay.
Good for my boss. Okay, I just got to turn it on Zoom share. Share. And there you go.
Yeah, it shows up.
All right. Let's get rid of this and go to this. Okay, we did the okay. We did the Wings Over Houston Air Show the weekend of the 25th to the 27th down in Ellington. And basically we started setting up, well, we didn't, the team started setting up on Thursday, setting up communications. The Fort Benton County EOC provided 2 trailers, two trucks this year. Somebody's shooting back, that might be you.
How you turn this?
Provided 2 trailers. They set up an emergency temporary antenna outside in case the repeater somehow died.
There's no audio. Hey, there's no audio at all.
Yeah, I texted Dave Underwood, who's there in the meeting. Maybe he'll be able to interrupt the meeting and let him know.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
If anybody can text anybody else that they know sitting there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, try that one.
Okay, there we go. We'll turn this one off. All right, you guys can hear me now because I can hear myself. All right, we were this year part of the actual medical net as well as the medical net on the ham side. We were using DMR radio directly in contact with David Alexander and the medical teams, as well as the ambulances from the HFD on P25 network. Normally, basically, it's just a cushy job for the medic, nurse, and pilot. I basically pick them up when they land, after we land them by the T-38 area on the NASA secure side. And I basically drive them around all weekend and show them where the best turkey legs are and take them behind the scenes to the different exhibits and whatnot. But this year, since it was absolutely crazy out there medically, they asked us to function as an ALS mobile resource. So we had blood and the defibrillator and the trauma bags and oxygen and everything on the quad. So that was kind of neat. We did actually witness a cardiac arrest right in front of us. The other golf carts, including the one that Doc uses, do not have lights and sirens. This does. So we kind of escorted Doc around a few times during the air show when he needed to get from one place to another. They were record crowds, as I said. Over 120,000 over the weekend. The final numbers will be in January. Well over 100 medical calls, heat stroke, cardiac arrest, strokes, diabetic emergencies. And yeah, that's pretty much how wall to wall it was. Now, power communication is what we basically took care of. There were 3 net controllers, bike rovers, shadows, people, following around the officials, communication supervisors, George Lewandowski and his group of people, Eagle Squad, the VIP, Preferred, which I believe Kirk was at, law enforcement liaisons that were biking around with the cops and coordinating with the cops, 2 medical tents that had to have a ham radio operator, the Legends, which is where all the veterans, what's his name, from Apollo 13, failure is not an option. Gene Kranz was there on Saturday. I don't know why I keep forgetting his name. I'm drawing a blank. I've got a picture with him and he's like my hero. So that we also had rovers walking around, any extra people that showed up late that didn't have an assignment, and the life flight liaison. And there's, some of the things that were going on. That's the boom and zoom up top, which is the Tora, where they pretty much blow up the infield. And of course, a beautiful shot of the Blue Angels as the sun came up on Saturday morning. That was from George. And I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear this. Probably not. But this is under the T-38 storage hangar. This is the F-16 group when they do their demo. No, the Thunderbirds are out in the midfield.
Yeah.
They don't.
And they're using F-18s.
Well, it's an F-16. The Thunderbirds use F-16s. The Blue Angels use FA-18 Hornets. For some reason, the sound is not working, but if you were listening, you'd basically see me flying backwards because I was too close to that jet exhaust. And I had 2 pairs of earphones on, and I could still hear it very loudly.
It's got a nice throaty.
There's the Blue Angels. There's the helicopter blade, because I had them all on that side of the field, but there was some really neat things. This was Friday. The female pilot from the Blue Angels is retiring. It's her second year, so she had a two-seater, and she was training her replacement. So they did not do the really, really close that they were looking for at the end of the season. And there's the Delta 6. It's too bad the sound's not working. It's really awesome. I mean, my iPhone can't do it justice, but it was really, really good. And so basically, what did we do? Friday, there were 25 volunteers, Saturday, 58, Sunday, 47 because of the game. So 130 people altogether over the weekend, 1,560 hours. And that's not including a lot of extra hours that people put in setting up and tearing down, and the barbecue on Saturday night, the volunteer group, and all that other stuff. So it was a great group of people. Now, my little story here, personal takeaway, I had a 48 bottle refrigerator freezer in the quad. I had Gatorade, water, and I made it a point to mention during the briefings every day that I had this cooler, and any ham that saw us around, because we were all over the field, just come right over to us, grab water, grab Gatorade, whatever, stay hydrated, hydrated, hydrated. And guess who didn't follow my own advice? Me. By about 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, I was doubled over and crying in pain, had no idea what it was. I thought I was having an inferior wall heart attack. I thought I had a AAA aneurysm. I thought the worst case scenario, except for the one thing that it was, which was heat cramps, which I'd never had before. Doc saw me and immediately sent me over to the med tent. They gave me about a half a gallon of Gatorade, and I started to feel a little bit better. But I was basically so sick that I spent a week not being able to do anything. I developed rhabdomyolysis, which is basically tissue death due to dehydration and the cramps, and kidney, liver, and gallbladder issues. And I was in agony for a week. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't sleep. So what it comes down to is, trust me, any of these events, if you think you're drinking enough, because I thought I was drinking like 2 bottles of water a day, not even close. So drink, drink, drink. And next year, the 18th and 19th, a good time was had by all, and the Thunderbirds will be there.
Special note with regard to this, if you have not served on this particular event, it's a great time to join. They changed up the way that they did it this year, and they put medical teams. They really increased their medical prowess, as it were, and they put medical teams at every preferred location and in various other spots, as well as medical team roving around. What we had to do to give them each a shadow is we used up what rovers we had. And we ended up not having any real rovers left. Everybody was all assigned either to a location or to a med team, but we didn't have any true rovers left by the end of this event. So we could definitely use many, many more hams to help out in subsequent events.
What are the rovers? Just wander around?
The rovers are just that. They're armed with a radio, they're armed with a reflective vest, and as long as you keep yourself hydrated, you just go up and down, watch people. Generally, our high visibility status is well received by the crowds. The kids will come walking right up to you and go, "I can't find my daddy," or the parents will come walking up to you, "I can't find my kid." And you know, those rovers are usually the first people to be contacted whenever there is an issue going on. And you know, that's where we really do our best work, because like I said, you know, when a kid comes up missing a parent, or a parent comes up missing a kid, the rover gets that out there. Everything stops. The rover gets a call in there. Our goal is to do it as soon as possible, but generally speaking, we can usually reunite the family in 5 minutes or less. And that's been the overriding result every time we got Yeah. And when you're talking a crowd of nearly 100,000 people, the fact that we can spot or locate families and get them reunited in 5 minutes or less in that kind of crowd is saying something. So much so that this year we have been, we're
Nominated
for the, what's it?
Communications Excellence Award with the
Pinnacle
Pinnacle.
Award in communications excellence. So, you know, that's definitely a huge honor, and you know, I'm glad to be a part of it. But you know, we could really use the help.
And there were some moments of humor too. And there was a person that reported that their 13-year-old had been missing for over an hour and a half, and they just then decided to mention it, whether they knew he was not around or they just didn't notice for an hour and a half. Turned out he had locked himself in a porta potty because he was throwing a fit because he didn't want to leave early, and his parents did. So found him pretty quick. I don't know why you'd want to spend an hour and a half in one of those hot boxes at 97 degrees, but
Smelling like shit.
This is about the 35th year that Ham Radio has been.
This is actually the 40th year.
It's been involved in this. Okay, good. I knew it was
And we have been involved every year of it. So it's definitely you know, it's a great event.
Any other questions? What's next, Lee?
Hold on 1 second, I gotta switch it over to that display and turn on the Zoom share so they can see.
Yes, I would have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there anything about that service that could help apply to the tax bill?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, different things.
And there generally is people on site who can sign that passbook if you.
One of the obvious things is anything that involves hardware. You could be a hardware expert. That's what we used to worry about with CommT. I'm trying to think what else is in the ARES book. What else is in that book? Lee, you've taught it recently.
Just basically having a Go kit, we could sign off the Go
This
kit.
Go kit, safety briefing,
Operating on the radio.
operating.
We can get stuff done if
Yeah.
necessary. We will definitely find ways to get your task books filled out. I just got to share yours again. So F5.
What's next on the list?
Hold on.
You
Give me 1
read.
second, I've got to
Well,
make sure
my-
that they can see it. You guys probably looking at the reader view, but that's fine. Okay. Next is,
Oh, the simplex. Yes, stay on the slides here. Simplex exercise. John, you and I are up.
Okay. What would you like to talk about?
Well, let's talk about the simplex exercise. Why don't you summarize what we were doing, and then let's go and do a debrief on it.
So I'll just start with the objectives of it first. So one of the things that struck me and really kind of hit home with me is how many times we lost repeater capability in some of the last recent events. And we're all so used to this. Picking up a handheld, talking on the repeater. We lost a lot of repeaters. And a lot of people didn't quite know what to do.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
And so what I thought it would be a good idea for the Northwest would be on a regular scheduled basis. The second week of every single month, we have a simplex net following our regular nets. And what I wanted to do was us as a team in the Northwest, since we're so far spread out, basically learn as a kind of a second nature skill set to be able to operate a simplex net across a very wide area. So we had to work together as a team to do relays and all that kind of stuff and to regularly test our equipment. And the other thing is, I wanted the simplex frequency not to be the same frequency every single time. I wanted us to have to change our radios so that people would learn to program their radios on the fly. People would test their equipment. We would learn to work simplex in very difficult environments and be able to operate as a team without a repeater. And that was the main objective. And we've learned a lot over the last 2 times we've done that.
What we're doing is we're breaking it down to the simplest basic denominator that we could possibly have. If the shit hit the fan, this is what we'd be doing. We get so used to using repeaters and good coverage and everything else that we forget what it's like to work with basic peer-to-peer communications.
Right. So I just wanted to establish that as a core skill set for the Northwest team.
Well, we obviously, those of you that participated noticed we had some technical problems. Were you there? Who was there?
Me, Randy.
Randy.
What was the technical problem, Randy? That we couldn't hear you guys.
Well, we had a radio that wasn't working, and we really didn't have a way of knowing that wasn't working.
So what would we have done to anticipate that next time? Have a handheld nearby?
No, I think for this particular exercise, we should have had a second mobile radio, that there was one available, so we switched over to that. I think the second thing.
But how did you troubleshoot it? How did you figure out the radio wasn't working? The last thing you tried?
So that was, I was getting to that particular point, and one thing that we didn't have in our kit was SWR meter. That
Okay.
would have told us right away what the problem was.
So you also could have had a handheld.
I mean, we did have handhelds, but
Could have told you when we weren't getting out.
no,
It's kind of more convoluted than Randy's making it out to be. The radio was operating fine. The radio had a SO239 female that was too deep for the hard line at TranStar to connect to. It screwed down and went tight, but you could still pull the center conductor up and down, and it wasn't making contact inside. So although we were able to hit the repeater with it, because you could basically see it from TranStar, it was putting out enough on the shield to hit the repeater. Once we connected it to the N5 TRS antenna 500 feet up, simplex, we couldn't hear anything. Nobody could hear us except people that were really close. How we figured out the problem was Joey brought a 150 or 200 amp VHF amplifier that he had hooked to a 12-volt power supply, but it wasn't sensing. When the radio was transmitting, you didn't see the sense light on the amplifier. So Joey thought that the amplifier was bad. It was driving him nuts. And we didn't realize until he pulled this piece of garbage, whatever it was. He didn't even know how to program it. He just threw the programming book at me. He says, "Tell me how to get this frequency." And we did it on the fly. And he grabbed the mic and he was doing net control, and he was in like seventh heaven. He just had the greatest time. Part of the problem is that I have a rental car and I don't have my big bag of tricks with me. Everything's still in my truck. So I would have had the connectors and the little short dinghies and dongles to make the thing work. The radio has subsequently, I tested it with SWR power meters, everything's working fine. So I need a better bulkhead connector for the, but the basic thing was Randy handled himself fantastic. Joey was very impressed. I was very impressed. We kind of worked a couple of mistakes into there just to see how the group as a whole would, hit them out of the park. Sherwin took over, which is exactly what we were hoping. And you kept calm and you didn't lose your mind. And it was a good exercise. So.
Yeah, I would echo that it was, and even in my professional work life, the best learnings you can have are where you go in, you think you know what the plan is, and that's not the plan when you get down to it.
Now you know why I called this a dry run.
This was the perfect, scenario for what happens when you activate. So stuff that's not planned.
Well, the intent is if I can get it organized here in about 2 weeks, we're going to actually do a wide area simplex net, and we'll post it out there for all the counties to pick it up. But I was considering this a dry run because I was a little concerned something like this would happen when I heard you guys were going to be working down in that.
Yeah. So a couple of things on this is I think it's awesome that we're leveraging TranStar resources and we're putting the TranStar resources to their bases. But at the same time, we also, I don't think, want to lose sight of the unit being able to operate without repeaters, because not always can we get somebody down to transfer.
Okay, and that brings up my next point.
So we need to do both. Is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say.
Now, go to my next slide, Lee. Where did 146,550 come from? This is from Harris County ARES.org frequencies page. This is the published frequencies for this area. These are the district frequencies. You notice what I have highlighted down there at the bottom,
Yeah, I don't see it. This one,
So all the way at the top of the page.
all the way at the top.
Next to it.
Where did that come from? Because these are our simplex frequencies.
So that was.
And this is where that USB is, by the way. So this is the one here
Yeah,
that would be,
so the 550 was at our last.
that's what we used.
Okay.
Where did that come from?
So the objective on at least the objective I set forth on it was that I want us to have a different simplex frequency for our drills in the Northwest.
But we missed an opportunity. When I do, if and when I can get it organized, when we do a wide area net, I'm not going to tell you guys the frequency. I'm going to tell you we're going to use the district wide simplex frequency, and I'll give you a hint. Go look at harriscountyares.org, and because I want you guys to know where to go find this stuff.
And that's a good part of the exercise, but the other part is for people to get familiar with the radios.
Yeah.
Because I want somebody that can say, oh crap, my main radio's not working. I'm gonna go get my Baofeng out of a closet. I can't remember, and they need to be able to put.
Well, I mean, the idea of I don't have any of the simplex frequencies. Well, I do have a Northwest simplex frequencies, huh?
I will second that. So I live right next to a private airstrip, and they did a little shindig for the neighborhood, and I wanted to listen in on my FT991A. I realized I couldn't remember how to program in a frequency, and it was very
I think they're
embarrassing.
both good points, right? In other words, I think everyone's point is good.
Right.
Both of the
Yeah.
units.
Oh, we should have
Yeah.
those programmed in for sure.
Well, even if you don't have it programmed in, you should probably have this page printed out, because if the shit hits the fan, we're not going to have the internet. You're not going to be able to see it.
Whoever's head of TranStar throws a radio at you and asks you to put the frequency.
Is it not the back of our badge?
Yeah, it is.
Chances
The
are pretty
main,
good that
the main,
whoever's in charge
the
of
main,
it-
the main repeaters are on the back of the back. Go to the next slide, will you, Lee?
I got a quick question, or
Now,
a quick
in the
suggestion.
particular case, since this was a Northwest exercise, I threw this up. Just to say, okay, how come we didn't use the Northwest units simplex frequency?
Because I made it the main control operator's call. What they want to use.
What I'm saying is, we need to use all the tools, and this is a tool that we've gone to great pains to organize and put together, so people know when the shit hits the fan, where to go.
The other test I think would be good, and we did this in the past, in years past, is contact the trustee repeater, say, turn off the repeater, let's see what happens.
Well, they've
Who did
done,
we do that with?
We've
We
done
did that in the last year or so.
Yes.
Walter.
Yeah.
When we were using Walter on the
Yeah.
compact.
so,
Because you're also supposed to operate at 147 on the output of the repeater as well, right?
yeah. Well, the other thing is it 145, 170 has a backup. The primary tone is at 103.5, and I think the secondary backup's on 123.0. So there are two radios on 145, 170.
Well, it's actually more complex than that. There's actually receivers along the south side of the county.
Oh, yeah.
Feed into it.
But the main point is, if you can't get in on the primary 145, 170, there is a backup 145, 170. And the only difference is tone. What else did we learn from this? Dave, did you have anything else?
Really humbling how far your radio doesn't go.
Well, I once Joey started going after the net, I could only hear, I know there were 3 or 4 I missed because I could tell he responded, but I couldn't hear them. But I could hear most of you guys on the Northwest side. So,
Well, the three of us were running around like virtual chickens.
well, I was trying to hold things together, but it got to the point where I was getting ready to, when I did release them, I said, you can stand by if you want to, but I have no idea how long this is going to take.
After we got the hard line finally attached to that piece of.
Oh,
property,
yeah,
you
it
know,
was-
that you brought in, we were able to hear like
It was beautiful.
Alabama.
And when he kicked the amplifier in, I saw 5 S unit increase on the signal.
Joey was very happy his amplifier was not in fact blown up.
Which amplifier? It's not the one in the
It's the
cave.
old little square one that they used to sell.
Hmm.
You remember the name of the amplifier? Ren?
I can look it up. One second.
It's
Okay.
old.
Okay, let's go back to the agenda. What's next?
Mr. Invisible.
Okay, Jeff, are you on yet? Oh, Jeff.
I am. So go
Oh, I
back.
hear you. Why don't I see you?
I don't know. Go backwards 2 slides.
Go back to which slide?
Back 2 slides to where it says 2 meter upper side band. Whose idea was that?
Which slide?
-2.
-2. He says, go back 2.
Tell him to just stand by one so I can put him on the speaker
Is
in this
it-
room.
Hold on. Is that the slide, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay, hold on. We don't have audio here. Hold on while we get it set
Make
up.
sure so everybody can in fact hear it. There we go. Jeff, talk.
Da 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 da.
No, not hearing him.
5. 5. 6.
Should be working.
5.
Okay, you give us a 10 count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, well, that's good enough. We've got you now. Go ahead, Jeff.
All right. So what is this 144.226? Anybody ever do 2 meter upper side band outside of Southwest? That's what I thought. All right. Thank you on that.
All right, there's no reason it shouldn't work.
Right, but most people don't have the antenna for that, and most people don't have a radio that will do that.
Yeah, I think my 9100 will.
But so they used to do upper side band on 2 meter in the Southwest unit back when Del Partridge was the EC, if anybody remembers that.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the meeting. That was rather interesting. I didn't notice it till I put the slide together.
Okay.
I'd like to.
It's an artifact from the previous comp plan I just left on.
Well, that's all right. I mean, I'm not saying
I'm
it's.
capable of doing it.
I am. I think I am. I think Dave is under.
Just
It might be fun. It might for those of us that think we could do it to do it one time just to see.
FYI, you can use a vertical antenna. All you
Yeah.
need-
Oh yeah, all you need is a VHF antenna. All you do is change the mode.
Mm,
Did I answer your question, Jeff?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm ready to present if you are.
Okay, you ready to take control of the screen?
I am.
Okay. You start sharing and I'll find the right window.
Start sharing, Jeff. And then hold.
I think I have to turn my sharing off.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, there you are.
All right. So we're gonna try this little jewel right here.
Okay.
Yep.
Hold on
That
for
looks good.
1 second.
All right. You can see that.
I see an airport or whatever.
Okay.
Give me a moment. Hold on.
Hold on. We don't have it on the big screen.
Click share.
Looks like an airport. Yeah, Ellington Field. Okay.
Go, go, go.
Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
So I'm gonna talk about 2 things that I've done since our last meeting. September, October, November are very busy for me. Have something to do just about every weekend. But since the last time we met, the first thing that I did was at the Ellington Field, did Checkpoint Charlie as a CERT member. We did have radios that were allocated to us, but we did very little talking on it. And I think the radios came from Harris County somewhere in the chain. So this arrow is pointing to a little bitty rectangle down here, which is this rectangle right here. So Checkpoint Charlie, the way that this works is the CERT operations was set up in this field that's surrounded by these arrows. The cops were down here at this Y intersection. Can you see my pointer?
Yes.
Okay, so they would direct people to go to the right and then go through the first, the cops would do that, and you go first culling station of cert people. And so you either had the correct badge to turn to the right, or you had the wrong badge or pass and you had to turn to the left. There were more people that had to turn to the left than had to turn to the right. People thought that this was an entrance into the airport, so just go in there and you can eventually get to where you want to go. This is a giant airport, and you see how far they would have to go down here to the general parking. And they just didn't want that. They wanted them to go in off of Challenger instead of going through here. But if you were had a ticket for a chalet, or you were a pilot, or you were some vendor, or one of the guard, which I don't think there was very many Texas State Guard there this year. Very, very few.
0.
Really? I thought that there was
Yep.
maybe a dozen.
Nope, the state specifically said we could not have the Texas Guard.
Okay. So anyway, you go and you're called out, and we have cones set up, and I'll show you the cones in a minute. I know everybody's excited to see cones. So we divide the driveway in half, and those that have to leave will get in the left lane and go around the curve. Those that they get to stay will go around the curve and turn to the right. And then we have a CERT team that is set up here at the second stop sign, where you have a person that stops the traffic because there could be traffic that is a bus or an ambulance or a fire truck or a Jeep or anything that's coming straight forward. They don't go through our checkpoint at all. They just go straight down this road. And if somebody's coming down that road, then we have to stop this traffic from turning left or right. Same way when there's buses or something exiting the facility, they're going to come from the north direction. And if they're turning right, if the patrons are turning right, then nobody has to be stopped. But if they're turning left, you have to allow somebody to have a right of way so that they can scoot over to this correct traffic. So you see how my arrow, this down arrow, goes straight into that lane. A lot of people tried to do that, thinking that there was that it was one-way traffic. So this is actually that intersection. The intersection right here is this intersection, and we went through several cone configurations to try to get the people to not turn into this lane where this person is standing. We want them to go to the outside where the bus is. And finally, we ended up with a configuration that worked, I would say 90% of the time. We had cones out the yin yang, whatever yin yang is. We had a lot of them. The only thing that's bad about setting up cones is you have to take them down, and then you have to set them back up the next day, because you have to take them down so that everybody can exit, and the buses can come in and pick people up. And they can stage the buses, and then pick people up and take them wherever they've got to drop them off at. So cones are wonderful, and then they're not wonderful, and then they're wonderful again. This is one of our CERT volunteers. Not sure what. So she was at the turn right area. We all had proper training on how to use flags, and if maybe I was taught properly on how to use flags by Joey Clements. Up at the fire marshal's office for training up there. So anyway, so this one over in the over on the right-hand side, that's the configuration that we ended up with that made people go out into that outer lane. And we moved these cones that are in the background further down so that would kind of, it made it appealing to go to the outside. And so this was the vantage point from my view. I stayed in the middle of that triangle. I had a person back behind me because I did not watch the traffic behind me. We had a person behind me that controlled the cross traffic. I controlled the traffic that was coming towards me. And so when the person behind me said they were like the pit boss, when they said stop, then you stopped everything. And then when they said go, then you could allow them to go. Here's all my credentials I had to put in the car. That's that event. We had probably had 30 to 40 CERT volunteers over 2 days. Some of them were repeats, some of them were not. I was not a repeat. I worked 1 day. I always go down to the checkpoint at the ham radio thing and talk to Daryl Kirk, who's passing out the ARES or ham radio badges or credentials to get into the event. And that's always a good time. So for the second year in a row, I did the Ride to End Alzheimer's over in Wimberley, Texas. Stats from that, it was on November the 9th. It was a 1-day event. Started out at a place called Blue Hole Park. This year they raised about $150,000 more than they did last year. They had about 100 more registered riders than they did last year. Same 4 routes, same elevation change. That's a huge elevation change. You think, nah, yeah, it is too. It's huge. I'm surprised that place doesn't flood more often than it does. Maybe it does. I don't hear about it. We had 7 SAG drivers this year. All of our SAG drivers were ham radio operators. Our SAG vehicles, all of them were pre-set up for us. We didn't have to go pick them up anywhere. We didn't have to gas them. We didn't have to do anything. All we had to do was hook up our radio equipment, kind of make little adjustments in the vehicle to serve ourselves, and go on down the road. This event is a kind of like a dispatch. Instead of on other events where the SAGs drive up and down the road and kind of pick somebody up when they're needed, they don't do that on this event. On this event, you go and you sit where you're told to sit until you are dispatched to go pick somebody up. And it's a pretty good system. I don't agree with it 100%, but the way their system works, it works pretty well. They tell you the number of the person that needs picked up, and they may be on the road or they may be at a rest stop. And then you're told where to take them to, and that's what you do. Maybe you only take them one rest stop, and then another vehicle comes and picks them up. But you're handed off to the ham radio operator at that site. And then they are your ticket to wherever you're going next. We had the District 7 and District 14 ARES guys at the rest stops from Comal, Guadalupe, and Hays County. Almost all of them did this event last year. We had 2 more SAGs this year than we did last year. We only had 5 last year. And they also do turtle different. The turtle in this event is a very good road bicyclist, and he was in constant contact with the net control at the command center. He wasn't controlled with net control on ham radio. He was in contact with the whoever was in charge at the command post. And then he told the net control guy what needed to happen. So there was no vehicle, and I think it's a waste to have a vehicle at the end of the event that is labeled as SAG. It's a function of communications is what it is. So it should always be a ham radio person at the back, maybe in their own car. That's my opinion. And also because this the repeater is up on a very, very high elevation handheld coverage through most of the course. I don't know if John Lee's on this call or not, but he was one of the
He's here.
Him and his lovely wife were there. I saw him again this year. And we had a great time.
Question for you, Jeff.
Sure.
How did so the SAGs didn't roam, they were dispatched. How did the word get from the bicyclists needing of SAG to the SAG van?
As far as I know, they all were given a wristband, and the wristband had a command post phone number on it. So they just called the command post. Okay,
I was just curious.
And John, if I say anything wrong, just chime in. So this is the route that we had. And except for this 100-mile route, which I went down to the rest stop down here, I did the entire route. And it's the first time that I've used Ride with GPS, where I drove the entire route. And when I got to the finish line, it said route completed. All this time I've used Ride with GPS, I've never gotten that message from the software. So I patted myself on the back. This map is contained in this rectangle, quadrangle, pentaangle, whatever. Pentathlon. But you can see, I'm not making it up. It says right here, 6,204 feet elevation change. It's tremendous. So these are our vehicles. Like I say, they're all decked out for us. Just install your radio equipment. They have blinky lights and everything. I actually got a bump on the head from the bicycle rack. The bicycle was too heavy and the tailgate came down and hit me in the top of the head and put about a 1-inch long, not a gash, but a rub on the top of my head, which eventually scarred up and had to put a Band-Aid on it. Wonderfully taken care of event. Can't say enough about it. Over there in Wimberley, if you've been, there are deer everywhere. And they just, you know, and it's a free for all with the deer. They are everywhere. This is some of the fun we had at Rest Stop 1. And I just stopped by to take a picture. There were so many people that were cheering the people on in the road. And here's John. This picture is from last year. I didn't take a picture of him, his wife. And so they had he gets the usual sight. You see, he's got a handheld and he did just fine. Always good to see you, John.
Thanks, Jeff.
And we used one repeater and a scooter net. And it worked wonderfully. This is my ICOM 5100, which I did not use. I loaned that to somebody and I used a different radio. And here's my vehicle, number 2. We only had one issue. We had one SAG guy that forgot his radio and his antenna at home. So I gave him my spare radio, but one of the antennas that I had, I do not have a UHF, what's that thing called? A meter, damn it, hold on a second. SWR meter thing. How's that for technical? SWR analyzer. I do not have one that'll do UHF. And so I do not know what frequency that this antenna is good on. I do know that it only gets to about 2.7 on VHF. So his radio would not even transmit with that antenna that I had brought. I do not know where I got that antenna from. It was probably left over from another bike ride and I just grabbed it out of the garage. But it's not mine. I don't know whose it is. So I need to find somebody that's got an antenna analyzer so we can figure out what it was made for. And so that's the end of my presentation. And so we'll see everybody on the next one. Any preguntas?
Anyone else got questions? Just a reminder for those of you on the Zoom meeting, if you would go to the chat and log in so we have a count of people that are attending. Some of you look like you've just got here. I know Jeff is one. Any questions for Jeff? Okay, Kirk, let's go back to the agenda. I think we're done. Golly, almost an hour.
So we had, I did a Walker County ARES presentation before this. And they had, I think, 16 on that call. And there may be a couple people from that call that are back on this one. Sherry was on that call, and a couple other people. Luke Bugler.
Go ahead.
So anyway, I'm done.
That's back. Go back the other way. Keep going. That's it. Okay, we're up to the November events. There's not a lot of change here. Amateur Radio Club was that's already happened. And we didn't have that information for the last meeting, so that was something that came up since then. And the Wallace Freedom Ride. Have you heard any, is that what the one you were on, Jeff?
No, I was on Alzheimer's.
Okay, have you heard anything about the Wallace Freedom Ride?
No, I haven't done that one in probably 10 years.
Okay, so no one's updated it, so I don't know when that's gonna happen. It's probably already happened as far as I can tell. Okay, go to the next one. Any other business? Anything anyone wants to bring up? We lost a couple of guys. They're upstairs doing the HF net.
Yeah,
So
Lee's got a request to make an announcement.
make a request to do what?
Make an announcement or a request for people. It's a January event.
Oh, the marathon. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have. Anyone have any information on that? Jeff, do you have?
Oh,
Huh?
Lee Gaspard knows everything and everything about it.
Yes, yes, I would have attended tonight, but I just got back from Europe. I've been hiding out over there in Germany visiting my daughter. And so anyway, I appreciate everybody who has signed up and requesting anybody who has not had the opportunity yet to sign up to please do so. My daughter keeps seeming to schedule me exiting with the wings over Houston. I'm going to work that event yet. It looks like a great thing to do. But if you missed out on that like I did, there's a great event coming up on Martin Luther King weekend called the Houston Marathon. The simplest way to do it that I can tell you easily is the hmhams.org. Go to that website. It's run by Peter Belvin, and you can register on that form, and it's got links into the official registration. So it's HM, like in Houston Marathon, hams.org. And anyway, I look forward to everybody. I'm a little bit behind since I've been camped out in Europe for 3 weeks. And so I'll be catching up. But if you have registered, again, I appreciate it. If you haven't, please consider doing so. I could use all the help I can get. Thank you.
Any questions for those of you who have never participated? Oh, of course, most of you are super doers. You're the ones that participate in everything. Okay, let's go to the next one. I think that's just routine stuff. Yeah. Is there one more? No. That's it, guys. Thank you for attending. I'm hearing someone talking.
You.
Is that me? I'm hearing myself. The delay. Like I said, if you haven't logged in on the chat page, please log in so we can account. And I will not be having a ARES meeting in December. We're not going to do it in December. So, and I imagine January will be interesting because I think all the changes that are occurring, we'll have a better idea of what's happening here at TranStar. So maybe we can get Brett to show up and introduce himself for those of you who have never met him, and maybe tell us what he thinks, where he wants to go. Anything else? Okay, guys. Thank you.
I have a suggestion.
Go ahead.
All right, good evening. I put on the chat, it just like, because I say, like during the Wings Over Houston, there were several other folks that did not have all the frequencies set up in the radios and all those stuff. Is there a way that we can put like a sample, a draft code plug for different kind of radios that had like for example, all the frequencies that were published on the presentation before, or something like that, you know, something that, I mean, not everybody has all the technical capabilities to program the radio and all those stuff. Maybe that can be used to help others who might not have the skill to get them all together and put them on the radio so they can join us.
I have a comment on that.
Go ahead.
So there is a guy named Rick Broussard that lives in Pearland that he has he has code plug that is built for public service events. And so he has a whole lot of them in this. And you know what it takes to get it from his format to your radio, I don't know. but he has, that way he can tell you for this event, use frequency number 26 and you dial it to number 26 and you should be golden.
Okay.
But so we'll have to figure out a way to hook you up with that. And I guess I need to talk with Rick exactly how that works.
Well,
But
absolutely, because I mean, like after the ISS training, ICS training, it's like, okay, we should have like a 205 with all the listed frequencies that we're gonna be using or anything like that. But then on at least on that format can help someone like me that I don't have them all.
yes. And it's also possible if you have a radio, I have a ICOM 5100 and at the birth of it was programmed exactly like the 5100s upstairs at TranStar. Since then, some stuff has changed, and so I've changed with it. Now, whether the radios have been changed upstairs at TranStar or not, I don't know. I doubt it. But sure.
They were updated a little bit recently, but nothing major. We just took out a bunch of dead repeaters.
Yeah.
Do you have programming software for your radio?
I do.
Okay. I know this sounds like the expensive way to go, but I push RT systems. I use RT systems on about 5 or 6 different radios. I'm talking about ICOM, Yaesu, Kenwood. And the neat thing about RT systems is you program one radio using the spreadsheet. And then you open up the spreadsheet for the radio you want to program with the same frequencies, and you can do a copy to grab a bunch of the spreadsheet, move it over to the other RT systems and drop it. And it will put everything in the right place, and then you just program the radio.
Okay. I mean, I mean, just like I'm open to new ideas, but as well.
Well, the downside is it costs you about $50 per radio brand or type. But that gets you the cable and the software for that radio. But the thing is when I'm supporting about 5 different radios, I change one, usually a 9100 at home, and then I'll do a copy and paste into like my 7100 or to my ICOM or to my Kenwood, whatever it is. It'll put everything where it needs to go automatically.
See, the reasoning for what I'm asking is because if I learn how to do it and I have the capabilities, I can help someone that might have been in the same situation as I was.
Yeah. Well, the only problem is I've been in a couple cases where, like around the bay, they've changed the repeater frequency on us mid ride, and that one time I was using an ICOM 51A, and I had to manually program that one on the fly, which I managed to do. I'd done it before, but I couldn't use the RT systems. It would have been too cumbersome in the SAG band trying to do that. But if you're trying to maintain your radios on and keep the frequencies up, RT systems is the only way to go.
Awesome. Thank you.
And the nice thing about RT systems is it's not vendor specific. They usually will have software for any radio out there. Like if you get the Yaesu and they have a program to program a Yaesu, well, you can't cut and paste from a Yaesu to an ICOM to a Kenwood or whatever. The RT systems, you can. Any other questions? Okay, guys, thanks for coming. And we'll let you know in January when we have our next meeting.
Thank you, Sherwin.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.